Okay, so there's Watson, but before we talk to him, there's something we want to do here. So he did mention earlier that we want to check our archive for the word Dawson and also for 1883. And you can see there it says newspapers search for Dawson 1883, so let's do that. And you can see the name down here is Dawson and Nalligan are bankrupt. So that links both the name Dawson and our suspect. So let's click on that. Oh, and it had the word 1883 in here somewhere, I believe. No, but okay, so we've linked the name Dawson we've found. So I'll leave that there for a second, read that, pause the video if you need to read that, and then page 2, pause the video if you need to read that.
Here it is. Now I begin to understand that young man's story, but I am still unclear as to what connects him with the murder. It is time to ask him.
Alright, so that has been added to our documents as part of our evidence. Now, one more thing we want to do before we talk to to Watson, is, as I mentioned before, Toby is now on his mat, so we can interact with him for this case. So all you have to do is examine Toby.
The best nose in the British Empire.
And that's it. That's all we have to do for this case, for the first case. We've interacted with Toby, and so we only have to do that 5 more times throughout the game. Now, talk to Watson.
A spot of whaling, Watson. Would you care to take part?
Are you serious?
No, but we do need to clarify what happened on the night of Black Peter's murder.
A reenactment, then? Is something bothering you?
The sailor's knife, Watson. Why was it on the floor?
Peter Carey attempted to defend himself?
It is possible. But if that is the case, then it alters many things.
I don't quite follow you.
Tell me, my friend, what is the animal closest to man, morphologically, I mean?
Ah, I see what you're getting at, Holmes. You asked me that once before, on the Ripper case, I believe. Do you want to slit some more pigs' throats?
No.
Thank goodness for that.
I wish to impale one with a harpoon.
Wonderful.
Watson,
Oh,
let us
boy.
pay a visit to our butcher friend in Whitechapel. We require the carcass of a well-fed pig.
And the harpoon?
One of the harpoons on the wall of Black Peter's cabin should do quite nicely.
Okay, so we want to test out this, or do a little experiment, and to do that we need a harpoon, and then we need to go and find some pigs. So back to the map. We already know that there were some harpoons at the murder scene, so we're going to go there and grab one. Alright, so here we are. Just head to the cabin, inside and straight ahead, and we'll see the harpoons. Also, sorry, while we go past, we can examine the garden.
It seems that the garden was well maintained.
It's something we could have done earlier, but we don't need that yet, but that'll come in handy later. So do that either now or earlier, or in the next time you go past.
That should do it.
Grab a harpoon.
Ready for the experiment.
And now back to the map, and you can see we've got the option to go to the butcher, so we'll do that now. Okay, and now that we're here, we'll quickly talk to Watson.
Well, here we are in the preparation room. I can't say that I like the smell of it much. What do you intend to do?
To indulge myself in a little experiment. The challenge of lancing a pig's carcass with a heavy harpoon.
A little experiment?
Stand aside, Watson. This might be dangerous. I am not well practiced in this exercise. Yet.
Yet. I like it.
Holmes, you should aim for the mark in order to perform the most reliable test.
I wouldn't stand there if I was you, Watson. I'm really bad at this. So this is another mini game, everyone. So it is something that you're going to be able to skip if you need to or if you're stuck on it. But it actually gets easier. So first thing you got to do is try and aim at that X, and you've got to press A to hold your breath, and it brings up a little mini sort of meter, and you've got to press A again when the little dial is in the white bit. So I'll push that I'll push A and we'll see how I go.
Holmes, you should try to aim better.
Okay, so
And throw
we missed
as hard as
slightly.
you can.
That was actually one of my best attempts, considering how hard it was. And you'll see what I mean, because it gets easier because that white marker gets a little bit bigger. So I missed again. Okay, another try. A bit too high. And hopefully we can get it now, because it's a lot easier here. There we go, we did it.
This is the best possible result that I could get. Do you see, Watson? Throwing a harpoon and pinning a man to a wall requires either exceptional strength and training or diabolical luck.
If it was luck, then it was a chance in 1,000 that night.
Well, yes. Let us leave now.
All right. But before we go, I suppose I'll have to pay for all these carcasses you've happily mangled.
Very well, but please hurry.
Of course.
Okay, and it tells us up there that we've got another deduction, so we're going to do that now. And they explained it pretty much in that little cutscene anyway. It's about the strength requirement for the kill that happened, and the way that they did it, which was pinned to the wall. So let's join those together. Enter this one, and it's given us lucky throw or feat of strength. We're going to just choose. What happens is you can confirm one or the other, which one you think it is, and as you're choosing these things out of all your deductions, it all adds up to who the eventual suspect is that you're going to blame for the murder. One of the achievements that we need to get at the end is we have to go through and look at every possible conclusion, including all of the incorrect conclusions and obviously the correct conclusion. But we don't have to replay parts, because you go through the deduction part of the game and you will find the incorrect conclusions, but you get to a point where it says accept decision and you don't press that until you're on the correct one. So I'll take you through that towards the end of each case. All right, so I'm just going to confirm that one, and now we can back out. And now it's time to go back to the yard and talk to our suspect again. So open up the map and head to Scotland Yard. Alright, so this time we can head straight to the interrogation room, so let's do that. Through here again, and let's talk to Nelligan. Through the door. Sherlock. The controls are a bit finicky sometimes, but that's okay. Alright, so we're going to talk to him.
I have heard the story of Dawson and Nelligan, the West Country bankers.
Yes, Joshua Nelligan was my father.
I am aware that it had a bad ending. When the bank failed, it ruined half the families of Cornwall, whereupon Joshua Nelligan disappeared.
My father was under extraordinary pressure. Dawson had retired. I was only 10 years of age at the time, but it was still old enough to feel the shame that befell our family. My father was convinced that he could pay off all his debts if the creditors gave him time. He set sail for Hammerfest in Norway in his yacht, just a few days before an arrest warrant was issued. He left my mother a list of the securities he was taking. No word was ever heard from him again. We believe that his vessel went down, taking with it everyone and everything on board.
Thank you for the story, Mr. Nelligan. At last, we are making some progress. Interesting. Joshua Nelligan and Peter Carey were both at sea in Norway. There is definitely some connection between Peter Carey and Joshua Nelligan's disappearance.
So that told us that both John Nelligan's father and our victim, Peter Carey, were both in, Hammerfell in 1883. Okay, so now we need to go to the map, and we're going back to our... because I just gave something away. We're going back to our murder scene because we know the ship's logs are there, and we have more information now that we can cross-reference. Alright, so we head back into the cabin. There's a lot of backtracking in this. But that's part of investigating these things, apparently. So in here, if you remember, the ship's logs were here.
1883. That's the one I need.
Alright.
This is the crew list of the Sea Unicorn.
So we've got the list of the crew. And then if we move
log notes for July,
to
log
August.
notes for August. These pages have been torn away.
We see that some of the pages are missing, but we've found part of a bond certificate here. So press A on that.
Canadian Pacific Railway, CPR, a torn piece from a bond certificate. I have seen this abbreviation somewhere very recently. There are 3 ways of discovering what happened in August of 1883 aboard the Sea Unicorn. The first 2 of these will require speaking with a dead man. The last would be to locate vital witnesses, the sailors involved in this whale hunt campaign.
Alright, so 2 things we need to remember from that. First one being the bond certificate, the initials were CPR, and where have we seen abbreviations before like that? I won't tell you, but we'll be seeing that shortly. And the second thing is that we've got a list of the sailors, and we want to speak to them as witnesses to find out what happened. So the next thing we need to do is we're going to go back to Baker Street. And the reason we know that is we look on here, and it gives us a hint that someone by the name of Wiggins might help to find the crew of the Sea Unicorn, and he should be somewhere at Baker Street. So we're going to head to Baker Street.
Something new, Watson. I have the list of sailors who were aboard the Sea Unicorn. We shall soon learn what happened to Nelligan's father. I have only to find them. Let us hope they're still working at the harbour.
I think that if you pretend you're from Scotland Yard...
I doubt it, Watson. And really, I would prefer that all of this remains quiet for now. But I have another solution. I'll call in the specialist.
And who might they be?
The secret police division of Baker Street.
Ah, you mean young Wiggins and his gang?
Yes. Believe me, you'll receive more useful assistance from these little urchins than from a dozen yard detectives. Those children are everywhere. They see and hear everything, and they are cunning. All they lack is organization. I'll summon them.
How will you do that?
There is always a watch beneath our window. I have only to call him.
Alright, so by our window, so we head over to the window and call Wiggins.
Wiggins, could you come upstairs, please?
At your service, Mr. Holmes.
Wiggins, I need you to track down certain people for me. I'll give you a list. You can read, can't you?
Big Oliver from our gang. He can, because his father is the coachman of a famous lawyer.
Fascinating. Here is the list of sailors.
Sailors? Easy. Just got to look where the rum and the red lights are.
Sorry to trouble you, Mr. Holmes, but the inspector asks that you come to the station as soon as possible.
Thank you. I'll be there shortly.
Alright, and there's actually no need to keep the inspector waiting at all, so we are going to head straight to Scotland Yard and have a chat to him. Alright, there he is, so approach good old Les.
Mr. Holmes, I'm glad to see you.
As always, what happened?
We have a new suspect, Liam Hurtley. I'm thinking that this case will be resolved very quickly now.
Interesting. Pray tell.
Well, The constable that I left at Woodman's Lee noticed a suspicious individual prowling around during the night.
Do you have him here?
Yes. He refuses to speak with us, but we'll make him talk.
Let us hope so.
Ah, yes, and one more thing. The constable told me that at the time of his arrest, the fellow was writing a letter.
Do you have it?
Of course. It's in the evidence room, at your disposal. Admit that for once, Mr. Holmes, Scotland Yard is a step ahead of you, eh?
Breathtaking.
Alrighty, so we've done that. Now, he mentioned that we've got a new suspect and some evidence from the suspect in the evidence room. So, just like before, we're going to go to the evidence room first, which is just in here, and we are going to inspect Hurtley's belongings. That's the name of the new
These are the suspect belongings.
Alright, so he's got some boots, and we know what we need those for. We're going to check those against our footprints at the crime scene.
They're a size 9.5.
Alright, there's a pen here that we can examine.
Nothing unusual about it.
Not sure if we needed to do that, but what we do need is we need to take this letter.
The stains are fresh. They can be removed with the proper chemicals.
Alright, so he mentioned there that we can't read the letter yet, but the stains can be removed with the proper chemicals. So we'll be dealing with that later. While we're here, we want to look at Nelligan's belongings again. And if you remember, I said that we needed to come back because of the abbreviations. And we got the abbreviation from the bond certificate. So let's have a look. It was CPR, and there's CPR on the notebook. So click on that one.
Now we have the proof that Nelligan's papers were indeed here. It seems that they have vanished, however.
Alright, and at this point we have another deduction that we can make. And the clues that we want to link together are missing papers, that one there, and a missing tin box. So link those and go into the deduction. Stolen valuable papers. Valuable bond certificates were kept inside the stolen tin box. Okay, so we've linked that, and it gives us Nelligan's motive. John Nelligan could have been caught stealing the bond certificates. This might have been a motive for him to murder Peter Carey. So that's a possibility. So we can exit that now. And we actually have enough information now for another deduction again. So press Y again. We have missing papers, and we have break-in attempts. So let's do that. Because the only other option was to do with Peter Carey not being a smoker, but we have nothing to link that to. So click on this deduction. So was he there looking for papers, or was he there for retrieving the notebook? Sorry, lost my train of thought. All right, I'm going to say looking for papers, I believe. None of this matters because I'm going to go through it all at the end. But what this does do is eventually, when you've got enough information, you can follow it through as a sort of a pathway to accusing the killer, or who you might believe to be the killer. And you can get it wrong, so that's just something to keep in mind. Alright, so it doesn't matter which one we choose now. I just have to choose one of these to move it off our screen. So I'm just going to pick Nelligan's innocence, but we can come back and change it all later. But exit out of that, and now we just want to go and speak to Nelligan again. Got a few more bits and pieces that we can talk to him about, and there's also the second suspect that we might want to talk to. And he's not in the interrogation anymore, because whenever there's more than one suspect, they'll be in these cells, and to chat to one of them in the interrogation room, you just pick which one you want to talk to and go up to them.
Please escort this suspect for interrogation.
Alright, now we'll talk to him about here and be ready for another QTE.
Tell me, Mr. Nelligan, what exactly were you hoping to find inside Peter Carey's cabin?
I was trying to find some information about my father.
Not completely untrue. And the correct answer here is the bond certificate, because that can help. Maybe it'll help him speak a little more freely.
To retrieve the bond certificate. Am I correct?
Yes. I discovered some time ago that a few of the missing securities had reappeared on the London market. You can imagine my amazement. I spent months trying to find them, and at last I discovered that the original seller had been Captain Peter Carey. These papers, they belong to my family, but I could not find them there.
That's all for now. Well, I will see you soon, young man.
Alrighty, we're going to have to call that a video. We are going to continue case 1 very shortly, but for now, I'd like to thank you all very much for watching. If you've enjoyed it, please remember to give me a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. It will help out a lot, and I will catch you all next time.